Let's create a web page using HTML, and the tool that we're going to use to create this HTML is Visual Studio Code. So first, let's find it and download and install it. And all this can be done pretty quickly. Visual Studio Code download. And I happen to be using Windows, so I would download that one. Once I download it and install it, here's the screen that will pop up. It will look something like this. Now, here's something I would suggest that you do, which is download Git. And Git is something that is a separate class, a separate tutorial on its own. But if you're not going to be using it now, you'll probably be using it later. So I'm going to go over quickly about downloading and installing Git, but it's not part of the HTML that I'm about to go over. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to download Git, but instead of downloading the traditional Git, I'm going to download something that I found may work a little faster, a little easier to work with. So let me show you what that is. And that's GitHub for the desktop. Now, let me go in about 30 seconds. Let me tell you what this is that what you can do is that once you write your programs or your HTML or your JavaScript or whatever it is, you can save it to your drive, but then copy it up to let's call it a repository or a place in the cloud where you can save all this stuff. And that's all it is. It's a folder on your desktop that you can copy up to the cloud. Now, the place that you copy the information up to the cloud, the place that I'm using in this example is called GitHub. And so you can either create a free account in GitHub or you can sign into your account. So I'm going to go ahead and sign into one of the accounts that I have. So GitHub is telling me that on my computer right now, I don't have any folders set up where I'm going to create my project and then copy all that stuff up to GitHub. So it says, do I want to create a new folder? Do you already have a project? Then you want to add that to your repository in GitHub? Or do you want to copy one from GitHub and put it onto your computer? Well, I'm going to create a new project for this. So I'm going to create a new place on my computer. I'll call it HTML tutorial. And I think the name is descriptive enough. Where do I want to put it at? I'm going to put it in a folder called GitHub under my documents. That'll work for me. I'm going to go ahead and initialize this with a README file. That's just a text file that says how to use this repository. And okay, so HTML tutorial. All right. Okay, I've got that set up. I'm going to ignore this for now. This was just something to set up for the future, but I'm not going to really dwell on this anymore. Okay, so back to Visual Studio. Done with this. Back to Visual Studio. Okay, so I'm going to go open a folder. So Visual Studio is set up and ready to go. That took just a couple minutes, right? So now it comes up and it says, what do you want to do? I want to open a folder, and I'm going to go find that GitHub folder. I'm going to go use that one. I'm going to select that folder. That's where I'm going to do. Put my stuff at. Put that README file in there for me. But there's no files in there right now. So I want to create a new file. I'm going to call my first one index.html. Okay, and that's the only one I want for now. So that one will work. And now what I want to do is that I want to put some code in there. HTML is pretty basic to get started with. How about if I go to the web and find just some basic HTML code to use? Just a minute. Okay, found something here. www.dev3schools, and they've got some basic HTML. I'm going to copy this. Control C. Go back to Visual Studio, paste it in here, and I've got some HTML. So HTML is made up of these little angle brackets around the description of the code. So HTML, this tells a web browser that this is a web page. So here's the beginning of the web page, and here's the end of the web page. The type of document that this is an HTML page. Okay, so what do I put? What do I want to display in the body of my web page? Well, here is in the body of my web page, surrounded by these angle brackets, and you notice the ending angle bracket down here. Can I expand that a little bit more so you can see that? Let me see if I can. Well, I'll have to do that later. But there's a slash at the end. So here's the beginning HTML tag, and here's the ending HTML tag. So that's the beginning and end of my web page. There's a slash in front of this to say that this is the ending tag. Okay, so how about the body of my web page? Well, again, surrounded by these angle brackets, here's the beginning of the body of the web page, and here's the end of the body of the web page. Has that slash in front of it. That's the only difference. And now, inside of my web page, I have these tags. This is an H1 element, which just makes the text bigger, and a paragraph element, or tags, beginning and ending tags. Let's go ahead and see how this works. So I'm going to make sure I've got this saved. So I'm ready to run this to see what this is going to look like in my browser. First, let me right-click on this and format my document. Okay, that makes it look a little cleaner, so easier to read. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to, here's my index.html, and I want to, let's see if we can see this in Explorer. There it is. So we see where I've got it. I've got it in that GitHub HTML tutorial folder. And what I'm going to do, I've got Chrome apparently set up as my default. So I'm just going to double click this. And when it brings up Google Chrome, okay, it brings it up, and here's my index.html file. Okay. Well, let's see what went wrong here. So it's not showing anything in there. I'm going to collapse this down. Did I? Save all. And let's try it again. There it is. And it just needed to save it. Okay, so here's what it's saying. I'm going to move this down. Okay, so HTML, so this is my web page. It's saying, okay, when you run this file index.html, the .html says it's a web page. And so it's going to bring it up in a browser. My default browser was Chrome, so it brought it up in Chrome. And it says, okay, in the body of the web page, in the big size font, it's going to say my first heading. And then in just regular paragraph or P paragraph tags, it's going to say my first paragraph. So that's what it does when I run it in the browser. It says my first heading and my first paragraph. Okay, that's it. Okay, I'm going to stop there.